What's up, nerds? So today we're going to go over creating your own custom hair for MetaHumans. I'm going to be using XGen in Maya, and we're going to be exporting an Alembic out of Maya and then importing it to our MetaHuman, and we'll be able to attach it to our MetaHuman, create a binding, and then turn on our physics. So that the hair can react to gravity and wind and all that. So by the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to create custom hair for your MetaHuman and attach it in Unreal Engine 5. I'm going to be using Unreal Engine 5.3.2. I've already got it here. Let's just go ahead and start that again. Alright, so I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to launch 5.3.2. I need to make sure that in my installed plugins, for this to work, for any MetaHuman to be added to Unreal Engine, you're going to need to make sure you've got Quixel Bridge. It should automatically be installed. Just make sure you've got it. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Unreal Engine. Alright, I'm going to go to Games, and I'm just going to create a blank template. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Create. It's going to create our project. Hopefully it won't take too long since we're creating a blank project. You can see I've got my MetaHuman creator running in the background. We're going to need that to finish this. It says new plugins are available. I don't need to worry about that right now. Okay, here's my blank scene. All right, so I want to create a custom MetaHuman in my MetaHuman creator, which I just had the template open. So, I can use MetaHuman Creator from Unreal Engine, from a 3D scan, from a model I've sculpted myself, and I have done that before. I can click on my Legacy MetaHumans, and you can see this is a character I actually sculpted by hand and used MetaHuman Creator to just to create this guy. Super creepy. I actually pushed him a lot farther. I did a bunch of sculpted details on him. So I could actually upgrade this selected MetaHuman. He's so creepy. But I'm not going to. But if you have legacy MetaHumans, you can say upgrade selected to active version, and it will send them to the latest MetaHumans. Alright, so if I want to, let's just say I want to add hair to an already existing MetaHuman. I'm using Chandra for this. I've already got him downloaded and everything, but I'll just show you how I would start this process. So let's just say we're going to create our new MetaHuman. Another thing I like to do is get rid of their clothes. This allows me to add stuff later or sculpt on the body. So let's say I'm going to use Coda. I would hit create selected. All right, and it's opened up the editor automatically. Okay, so I'm going to leave the hair on. I can always replace the hair. One thing I do want to do though is I want to go to body and go to tops, get rid of his shirt, and get rid of his shorts. And then I actually want to give him sandals too. This is going to give us the feet. So now I've got a full body that I can sculpt on. If I want to create my own clothes in Marvelous Designer, I can do that too. So, when I'm starting with a MetaHuman that I'm going to customize and maybe send a ZBrush or do whatever I want to do, I want to make sure I always get rid of those clothes. If you hide the clothes in Maya after you've done this process, let's say you keep the shirt or the clothes on, it's actually, to optimize it, it's getting rid of the underlying geometry. So if I send a shirt to Maya, character with a shirt, the geometry under this shirt is actually going to be deleted and not there. So the ideal is to have no clothes. Now I could edit the face and do blending, change skin color, eyes, teeth, all that good stuff. There's plenty of videos out there on customizing MetaHumans. And I'll be making some more videos on sending your MetaHumans to ZBrush, and then sculpting on them and updating the blend shapes. So I'll be making some videos on doing some extreme customization on MetaHumans. And I do already have a video on sending a MetaHuman to ZBrush. Okay, so now that I'm done, I can actually just go back to MetaHumans, and I could rename him maybe Coda 2 or Coda Custom if I wanted to. That's fine though. Now if I go back to my MetaHumans, it's going to update with Coda there, all right? So there he is. Okay, now if I wanted to go back and edit him, I could edit selected. I can make two versions, one with clothes that I can send to Maya and Unreal. So anyway, there's plenty of stuff we can do. I'm going to be using Chandra for this tutorial though, and I've already got Chandra set up. So let's go. We need to actually download Chandra in two different places. So let's go. You're going to need the standalone version of Quixel Bridge. I will post the link for that in the comments. So hopefully you have it. Nowadays, you have Quixel Bridge inside Unreal Engine. If I right click into my content browser, I can actually add Quixel content from here, and this will open up Quixel. It'll open up Bridge, but I need the standalone installed version of Quixel Bridge to do what we're going to do. So if I go to, and also when you log in using your Unreal Engine credentials. So your Epic credentials are going to be what gets you in. Don't use a password or whatever else. So, and that will connect you directly to your MetaHuman. So if I go to my MetaHumans UE5, we're going to see, look, Coda has popped in, got Nassim, and I've got Chandra, and I've got this guy Bulk. You can favorite things too. I've got a little heart here, so I can always find favorites. If I click them, it's interesting that it says there's two favorites and only one of them showing up. Anyway, back to my MetaHumans. Now I'm going to go to my MetaHumans UE5. And if I look at my MetaHumans, and this will be the case with any of your geometry or materials or any of that stuff, it's going to show up green if you have not downloaded it, and it'll show up blue with a plus sign, which means you can add it you can send it over to something. Unreal Engine 5 and on, you don't actually send stuff from Bridge to Unreal. It used to be that you would send stuff from Bridge to Unreal, but that is not the case anymore. But we can send stuff from Bridge to Maya. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Unfortunately, right now there is no Bridge to Blender, even though it shows that there's a plug in it. It's not currently working. So hopefully they'll update that and there'll be a Bridge to Blender. But for now, this is only a Bridge to Maya operation. So if I go to one of these characters, I'm going to left click on them. I can see if I want to, I can re-edit him. I can go into Start MetaHuman Creator, and that'll open up my MetaHuman Creator again. That's going to take me right back here, and I can actually edit him again if I'd like to. All right, I'm back in Bridge. Now, if I look down here, I've got this bar that says 8K resolution. This is going to be my download quality, right? I don't necessarily need this to be 8K if I'm not planning on being that close to my character. or if I'm going to resculpt everything and maybe I'm going to replace all of the texture maps. I like to keep them 8K, and I'll even use the albedo and the roughness as a base layer, and I can send those to Substance. I'll probably make a future video about editing a MetaHuman skin using a new sculpted, sculpted details in Substance, but using their base skin colors. So I like to keep it at 8K. Now, if I looked at just to the right of that 8K and the resolution slider right there, the resolution box, I'm going to see this little button right here that's got sliders on it. I'm going to left click that button, and I've got access to my export settings and my download settings. So let's open our download settings first. Now I can check my textures, okay? I've got an albedo, I've got a metalness, roughness, so you can turn on additional textures if you'd like. I specifically turned on curvature and cavity. I believe that those aren't on by default, and that again is so that I can add them in to Substance. So, I can go into Substance Painter or into Quixel Mixer and use the cavity, the curvature, and the AO to do stuff like add tattoos or add face paint. Maybe I want face paint not to touch the cavities. I can use a cavity map to affect the face paint. So there's a lot of things we can do with these extra maps. So I've activated cavity, curvature, and I believe AO. Now I want to go to models. Okay, this is going to be important. The textures, I mean, you can use whatever textures you'd like, but the model part, it has to be set to this to work in Maya. So you need to set it to FBX from Megascans, and then you need to get your U asset plus source asset. Okay, that's going to be your working MetaHuman. Also, leave all of your LODs on. Okay. I've set it so that only LOD 0 is set, and for some reason it doesn't work in Maya. So there we go. I'm gonna hit the back button. So this is our download settings. We're done. We need to set it to FBX. Then we need U asset plus source asset. So I'm gonna hit the back arrow. And now I'm going to go to my export settings, okay? The same little set of sliders, these settings. I'm going to go to my export settings, okay? Now export target, this is super important. We need to set it to Maya, and then you're going to install it. Now I am going to play around with this, but so far I haven't been able to alter the version, and I didn't install this, or I mean I installed this quite a while ago, so I've got it installed in Maya 2020. So I'm going to actually delete it from my plugins eventually and try and relink it to a newer version of Maya. So just be careful with that. Make sure that you're directing it to a newer version of Maya is ideal. So I can go to my textures here and I can set my textures for my export. Okay. Now we want to go to models and make sure, see, we've got preset Maya, Megascans FBX. We again want our U asset plus source asset, and then all of our LODs. Okay, so we're ready to download. I'm not going to download this guy. It's going to take a while. I've already got this Chandra character downloaded with all of those exact same settings. So I'm going to use him. I also need to have Maya open to send him over. All right, so I'm going to open up Maya. Okay, so I've got Maya open. And I'm going to go back to bridge, and I can press the plus here, the blue plus to export, or I can press it over his head. I'll just press it down here. It's going to say export to Maya, export successfully. All right, so now we need to go to Maya, And Maya's going to give us a prompt that says, are you sure you want to import MetaHuman character? All unsaved progress will be lost. So yes, I'm ready. And this is going to take a couple of minutes, so I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, so that took about 5 minutes, I think. So my MetaHuman is just now loading in the textures. And there we go. There's Chandra. Now he doesn't have any hair. That wasn't set over. That will be in Unreal. And if you look, this sent over a working MetaHuman. We've got all of the animation controls. So I'm going to zero these back out. All right, just got all those at 0. Now your Maya is actually set to OpenGL, and these are DirectX 11 shaders. So this won't just show up default. You actually need to set Maya the settings to be DirectX 11. So if you want to see your shader, I mean, it's not a huge deal, especially since we're doing hair, but might help. Like, let's say you've got a stubble line and you want to get your beard right at that stubble line or your hairline. And actually, he does have a hairline. There we go. So this texture will actually help with yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go up to, so I opened my settings and preferences. I just did the little man running away from the saw blade down here. So if I go into my display settings, all the way down at the bottom in viewport 2.0, render engine, I set it to DirectX 11. It's going to have you restart it, so you're going to want to save your scene. But its standard is OpenGL. So you got to switch it to DirectX 11 if you want to see your MetaHuman shaders. And I will right now, just out of the gate, I'm going to save this while it's fresh and nothing has been changed, just so I don't have to worry about waiting another 5 minutes if anything goes funky. You know, waiting another 5 minutes to send it from Bridge. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save scene as. Now it's going to say, oh, you want to send it to Megascans. This is going to be where your MetaHumans are downloaded to, is your Megascans library. Okay. But no, I'm gonna send it to my desktop. Where is that? Interesting. Okay, well, and I'll send it to. All right. So I've already got one saved here, and it's called Chandra Full Rig. It's that's going to be the default naming is whatever the name of your MetaHuman is _full_rig.ma, or if you change it to my binary, it'll be .mb. So I'm just going to save over this. It's fine. All right, and I'm not going to be using my 2020 XGen. I'm going to be using 2023. So now all I really want to do is export this character, okay? I'm going to grab the head and the body, and I'm going to say edit. You know what? We'll send over the eyes too, just so we can see where exactly we're going to want if we do eyelashes, um, we'll want to know right where to line them up. The eyes help, okay? So I'm going to say edit, delete by type. Now I've already saved this. I'm not going to save it again. I'm just exporting this stuff. So I've deleted my history, which has completely broken the rig. And it went back to the same spot. Boy, that's very enjoyable. Okay, so I'm going to say this is an FBX. We're going to say, I'm going to say Chandra. You can see I've done these a few times. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Chandra head and body, and I can close this now. Don't want to save it. I've already got that version saved, so if I need to go back to it, I know it's just that Chandra underscore um, uh, rig. Okay, so now unfortunately I can't just start um, working on it because the positions are actually off. I don't know why this is, but in Unreal, he's going to be the distance of the sandals to the floor. There's no sandals in the Unreal character in the blueprint. So, or if they are, they're offset. Anyway, the distances are off. So if I make my hair on that bridge character that just got sent to Maya, um, the positions are going to be off. And when I try to bind it to my MetaHuman, um, the hair is going to be off. So I actually need to send my MetaHuman to my Unreal Engine and then export that FBX to get the exact position. So the MetaHuman that I have in Unreal has the proper position that I want to reference, but the MetaHuman that I just sent to Maya is the one that I'm going to build the hair on. Now I've tried to build the hair on these, the FBX sent directly out of Unreal, and XGen does not like it. So there's some kind of internal issues with the geometry or something, but it, um, XGen in Maya is not friendly with the FBX that's sent out of from Unreal, which it's triangulated and it's actually combined the eyes and it's got a lot of stuff combined. So I'm going to go ahead and add Quixel content. It's going to open up my bridge. Hopefully I'm logged in. Okay, it's asking me to log in. I'm just going to log in. So you don't want to use your email address. You want to Epic Games. Oh yeah, Epic Games login. Okay. All right, so I am logged in. If I go to MetaHumans, I guess I need to go to local and then MetaHumans. Yeah. So I need to go to local and then MetaHumans. And I can see I've got two different Chandras, but one of them doesn't have clothes, right? That's the one I want. So I'm going to grab him. Oh, it's still asking me to sign in. Weird. Okay, there we go. There's my MetaHumans. Okay, so there's Chandra. Again, same thing with, you'll see there's a blue export highest quality, and I've got my export settings here too. They're a little different here, okay? So you do want, I leave these all set to their default, okay? And then quality, I could say highest quality, right? And I've already downloaded it, right? You can see it says downloaded. So I can send it over. I'm going to do that. And I've got my Start MetaHuman Creator here too. So if I want to edit it at any time and update it, I can do so. So I'm going to say add. And that's going to send everything over to Unreal Engine. And this shouldn't take too long. Alright, so let's go to Unreal Engine now. Very strange. Did it already add? There we go. That's what I was looking for. So it's going to ask you to enable a bunch of missing settings in your project settings. So you can see if we look, this is going to be skin support. So this is going to be our skin shader, and this is going to be our control rig. Okay, the control rig is fine. The skin shader is fine for now too. But just as a note, if you're going to be using a MetaHuman for a VR project, these skin shaders will crash your VR every time, so you actually don't want to enable them. And you're just going to have to use a standard shader. But I'm going to say enable missing. I'm going to say enable missing with that one too. And now it says restart now, but I have a feeling there's a few more. Let's go ahead. So I've opened up my content creator. Okay, and if I go to MetaHumans, I'm going to see Chandra, the name of the folder, and this is the blueprint that he lives in. So I'm going to double click that BP Chandra, and there we go. I knew it. So this is going to be the Groom plugin. We're going to enable that too. And I'm still not going to restart because I might as well go into my settings and enable my Alembic importer. Now it's showing me the event graph right now. Actually, I can go to my viewport. Oh, it's not going to show me the full blueprint until I restart. So let's just go into our edit. I'm going to go to my edit tab, and I'm going to go to my plugins, and I'm going to go ahead and say Alembic, and I can see Alembic Groom importer is not turned on. Since I'm doing a restart anyway, I might as well pop that guy on because it's going to ask me to restart again. So why not kill two birds with one stone? We need this Alembic Groom importer to be able to bring our hair from Maya into Unreal. And I think that should be it. Let's just type in hair. Hair modeling tool set. Haven't tried that out. That looks interesting. Gonna have to definitely check that out in the future. But my Alembic Groom importer is what I need, and we're good to go. Okay, so I can say restart now. So this my Unreal project right now, I needed my character, my MetaHuman, to be imported into it anyway. So you know, we want our MetaHuman there, but now I need to send my MetaHuman. I need to export it out of Unreal and use that position um, to get the perfect position for my character in Maya before I start my groom. Okay, so I can go to my BP Chandra now, which BP just stands for blueprint. So I can go to my Chandra blueprint, and all I need is, let's see, now I'm going to grab the head and the body. So now I can go viewport, and you can see it's loading in all of the stuff, and there we go. There's Chandra, got his hair, got his body. So I'm going to send the head and the body out. If I click on the head right now, it's going to grab the face. Now I can go to this skeletal mesh asset. That's what I want. I'm going to hit my little browse Chandra, little magnifying glass over the folder. That's going to take me to the folder he's at. And I'll just right click that asset. I'm going to say asset actions export. Okay. And we're going to say Chandra face mesh 3. Let's see, I've done this a couple of times. Now, I do not need vertex color. I do not need level of detail, a collision mesh, or morph targets. Those are all extra information that doesn't help me at all. And I'm going to switch to FBX 2020. Okay, let's say export. That's done. Let's grab the body now. Same thing. We're just going to go to the folder where the body is, right click, asset actions, export. And we've got our body, and we're just going to say 3. Same thing. We don't need anything. FBX 2020. All right, I can say save all on this, and I can close my Unreal Engine for now. I don't need it open while I'm making hair, running pretty complex stuff in Maya. So I'll close it, and let's open Maya. I'm going to be using Maya 2023. All right, I'm just going to say go to Maya. And now let's import the MetaHuman that we exported out of Maya 2020. Now you might have just connected bridge to Maya 2023, so then you just need to open, import that. Okay, so just wait for this folder to populate. All right, so I need my Chandra face mesh and my body 03, but let's grab head underscore body 01. That was what we exported. So let's import that. Now, I don't know why it's loading what looks like blend shapes, because it shouldn't take that long. There we go. All right. So here is our MetaHuman. Now I just hit the 6 key to show the shaded. And let's see here. Looks like it's loading the shaded. Cool. It is looking a little crazy. That might have to do with the fact that there was lighting in the other scene. We'll see. And you know, maybe do I have DirectX 11 is the... All right, so now I want to import my head rig first, and the order you import these in does actually matter. So we're going to import our head first. So I'm going to grab Chandra face mesh 03. I'm going to import that. All right, and this is going to take a while because it's got a lot of blend shapes. So I'm going to pause the video. All right, so we're back. I've imported the head mesh from Unreal Engine. We can see that we've got all the facial joints that came with it. Since it's an FBX, it's sent over the rig too. Also, if I click on the mesh, you can see it's triangulated. So it's been triangulated from Unreal Engine. I don't want to see all these joints, so I'm just going to go into Maya and go to my show. Just turn joints off for now. It'll make it so I can't pick them now either. You can see though, we've got a pretty big difference in the position. All right, and I want my head that I'm working on to be in the exact same position. So I need to move it down. I'm gonna grab the body too, just to be sure they're gonna see body 03. That's what I named it. And this shouldn't take too long since the body does not have blend shapes. It's deformations though. There we go, yeah. All right, so let me just grab, I'm gonna hide what I imported from Bridge. And so this is the complete mesh that I brought over from Unreal Engine. All right, you can see it's triangulated. Now, you can also see that the eyelashes, the eyeballs, the teeth, everything are in one mesh. I've tried to delete all that or separate it and just use this triangulated head mesh to build out my my XGen grooms on, and Maya does not like it. So we've got to use the quadded mesh from Bridge. All right, so while I've got all of this selected though, I like to set up some display layers. Well, you know what? I've already got my XGen interactive groom editor on. I don't want to switch that, so that's fine. I will just grab our rig. I'm going to hit H to unhide it. So this is my mesh. The one that says rig is my mesh from the one I sent from Bridge to Maya. You can see it's quadded. It's beautiful. It is ready. Okay. So I'm just going to go into my side view, hit 4 to go into wireframe mode. Now I can see my, and I've got my joints visible in the side view. So I'm going to say show and hide my joints. But I can see that my MetaHuman here is pretty much flat on the ground. Okay. Whereas my MetaHuman that came over from Bridge had the sandals on. This is the exact distance from the sandals. So I wish that they were in the same position, but they're not. And if we try and build our hair on this guy at this position, it's going to be off in Unreal Engine. So I can move. Once I hit W to move. Once I've moved, if I zoom in, now I'm just moving in the Y, well, what would normally be the Y direction. I'm just moving up and down, right? If I zoom in and I can't see my move, um, uh, my move tool, I can't see it. Since my last move was just up and down, I can just middle mouse, hold down middle mouse, and it'll move in that direction specifically. So I can zoom in and get very close. So let's try and get this almost perfect. So I'm really close. Can I get any closer? Yeah, that's going to be as close as I'm going to get though. Alright, so that's pretty much perfectly overlapping. So now my MetaHuman is in the perfect position. I can go ahead and hide the face and body, or I can delete them. I don't need them anymore. I just needed them to get the position. So I'll go ahead and save this. I'm going to say here. Alright, so this is going to be the starting point. So now that I've saved it, I'm actually going to delete these guys. They're gone. Okay. So this is another thing you can do now that you've got the body. You can actually give your MetaHuman arm, leg, arm hair, leg hair, chest hair, hair on their knuckles, the little vellum hairs that just barely show up because your MetaHumans don't have any body hair. So this is also a way to get body hair. Alright, so we don't need that though. We're going to be working specifically with the head. Now, normally in a grooming situation, you would create hair plates. So maybe you'd make eyebrow plates and a beard plate, which is just extra geometry that you'd be building your hair on that sits exactly on top of your mesh. We don't want to do that. I've tried that too, and it seems to, Unreal does not like it. So this is, I'm just going to be using this mesh, and we'll just be painting our density onto this mesh, which is fine. So in my workspace, I'm going to switch to XGen Interactive Groom. I've already got it switched to that, so you'd probably normally be set to general. We want to go to Interactive Groom. All right, now I'll select my mesh, and I'm going to say Create Interactive Groom Splines. Okay, it's going to bring up this, this options box. I'm going to name this. I'm going to make a sweet mullet. Generator seed 1 is fine. Density 1 for now is fine. We'll be changing that. Length 1, CV count, that's all fine. I'm just going to leave it at default, say create. Alright, so now we've got hair everywhere. That's not what we want. We only want it in a specific spot. Okay. So I can open up my interactive groom here. I can see my sculpt is on. Okay. And if I go down to mullet 1 base, I've got a density brush here. So I can eliminate all of these hairs and then paint in the exact spot I want them. All right, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So my edit needs to be on in the sculpt for my mullet for this to work. I go density brush, I'm left clicking it. Now, right now I've got a paintbrush, and if I double click my paintbrush here, it's going to go straight over to my tool settings. So I could have just clicked over to my tool settings here. So I've got my editor here, my tool settings here, and this is kind of the general layout for everything we're going to be doing. Your tool settings are usually right next to the tool you've just used. Okay, so in my tool settings, my paint operation is increase right now. I want to set it to decrease, and I can go down to flood and just say flood, and that's going to get rid of all of the hair. All right, now I can say increase, and I can paint hair back on. I'm going to undo that, and for now I'm going to go into my symmetry settings, and we're going to say object X, so I can get most of the work done for the shape of this mullet right away. Okay, so if I hold B, if I hold the B key and I left mouse drag and I drag to the left or right, I can increase or decrease the circumference of my brush. All right, now I am going to try to see my shader. It's looking a little bit funky, but look, I can see my hairline here, which is great. So I'm going to paint along that hairline. Now I'm just going to use this shaded mode for now to outline my hair, and now I'll hit 5 again. So I've gotten a good outline of my hairline, and now I can just paint the hair back in. Now I can increase my brush size and paint. Now I've been having a there's another way to do this where you paint a density mask, and I love painting a density mask, but I have been having the weirdest errors with the density mask recently, so I'm avoiding that right now. All right, we've got a good hairline here. I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker. Usually you'll notice that the hairline follows the brow, and then around where the sharp point in the brow is at is where the hairline recedes. So you can kind of follow the brow and just kind of move that shape back, follow the brow, and then cut up, and that's the hairline. Okay, so I'm going to save. I want to save a new version. I like having just a completely blank version, and now we'll save a almost blank version, just starting out with our hair. So if I go back to my attribute editor, I'm in mullet base right here. I can see I've got a density mask. I can create a density mask, but I'm not sure if it's Maya 2023 or what it is. But whenever I try and get my density mask to work, it just doesn't. I resave it. I used to use them all the time, and I'm not 100% sure what's going on. But they've been breaking on me. So I just paint the density out, which is fine. I just need, this hairline. So now I've got my density multiplier. Whenever I want to preview my hair, I'll probably turn that up to something like 40, and that'll allow me to see a much better version of my hair. But I'm going to set that back down to 1, just so it's kind of streamlined. We can work a little faster for now, and it's not going to chug. Okay. So another thing I can do is if I want to place a single hair, I can use this place brush, right? So if I want, when I'm doing my eyelashes, I use the place brush. I don't use the density brush because I want to place each individual eyelash. Also, when I make these longer, I'm going to change this CV count, right? And I'm going to hit rebuild. For now, we're going to leave it. And let's see. I also want to go into my profile. Now my profile for my shape is actually going to be up here in the description. Okay, so if I go up to my description, I can see my width scale, so I can make these a little wider on these hairs. And I also don't want them to be just, this perfect cylinder. I actually want them to start sharp. So we're going to go down a little bit. And I want them to end sharp too. So we're going to go a little bit sharper at the tips. All right? Let's go a little sharper at the base. And then maybe something like that. There we go. All right, so if I was doing eyelashes, I'd probably bump up this width to 0.2, maybe 0.4. Get some nice thick eyelashes. Eyebrows, I like a little bit thicker too. If you're doing a beard, you can make it a little bit, you can give it a little more thickness than the top hair too, but let's try 0.2 for now. I might go even back down to 0.01 with that width scale. Okay, so we are ready to add in our guides. All right, we've got our hair base down. Now we need our guides to drive the length and the hairstyle. Okay, I'm gonna save again. And now that I've got my mullet one clicked, I'm going to say add modifier, and we're going to add a guides modifier. Okay. Now nothing has happened. I need to click my guide, and I need to go down to input guide and say create. Okay. I'm just going to click create, and that is going to do the same thing that that happened when we created our hair at first. All right. We don't need all of these guides. And if I find it easier to start with as few guides as possible. It's almost like when you're sculpting, the lower poly you can keep it, the simpler the forms, the easier it is and the faster you can move. So I try and keep your guides down to a minimum. All right, so I'm gonna expand my guides right here with the little plus arrow, and if I expand my in guide, I'm gonna see sculpt 1. I need to turn on edit on my sculpt 1 for my guides instead of my sculpt layer here. Okay, so I'll just hit edit here, and now you can see it turned edit off on my sculpt layer. It turned it on my guides. Now I can go to in guide base right here, and we've also got a density brush here. We're going to do the same thing. I clicked my density brush. Now I can go to my tool settings. I'm going to say decrease, and we're going to flood it. All right, so that gets rid of all of our guides. Okay, so we want to make a sweet mullet. All right, that's a sweet mullet right there. All right, cool. Okay, so now that I've got my in-guide base selected, I can say I'm not going to use the density brush. I don't want to just draw out guides. It's on decrease right now anyway. I'd have to set it to increase. But I want to use my place brush because I want to place as few as possible with these guides. All right. So got my place brush set. If I go to my tool settings, I'm going to see remove will take them away, and So that's not on, so I'm going to be adding. I'm going to go down to my symmetry and put object X on this as well. So we're going to start our sideburns. I'll add one there. And keep it short all the way up to here. At the top of the head. Now you can see the hair is changing direction when I put these guides in. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start shaping these guides. And yeah, let's do a few more here. There we go. Alright, so now I've got my edit on, so I can start shaping my guides. I'm going to hit my comb brush, and that's going to allow me to comb these guides. Now, I've got symmetry settings on this as well, so I'm going to go down to my symmetry settings, and we're just going to use object X, and we're going to keep the symmetry on for as long as possible. We'll go asymmetrical in a little bit, but we're going to keep that symmetry on for a while. Now, if I'm having a problem where my guide is pushing through my character, I can turn on collide with mesh, and that will prevent my guide from doing so. Now the issue is it will also prevent it from getting very laid down. You can see I've got the hairs here kind of bending where it's not allowing me to push this vert down. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to be pretty safe about not colliding with the mesh. And this guy's kind of going forward, is that okay? So I'm just left clicking and shaping these guys. Let's see, this wants to go forward a little. Now I know I pushed it through the mesh, and that's okay. I can go back and grab it. So you can see when I did this set of guides and comb them forwards, I kind of created a bald spot here, right? So it's saying, you know, this guide is saying we want you to go at this direction, but on this part of the curvature, it's pushing the hair under. So I will need to create more guides right there. Let's go ahead and what are we looking at here? Yeah, that's looking like kind of straight down, maybe a little bit forward too. Okay. Okay, so now I want to add some more guides so we don't have this bald spot. So I'm going to go to my place brush because I was on my comb. I need to go back to my place brush. And this time I don't want to add the guides just blank. I've already got guides and they've already kind of started being combed, right? So if I click this interpolate, it's going to create the new guides in it's going to average out the shape between the guides nearest to it and start off that way. So it kind of gives you a starting point. Now you can see the issue is it's pushing down that same way. So that's okay though. You know, I'm going to undo that set of guides. I'm going to go back to our comb. Let's bring these guys out forward, and now I'm going to make a set of guides here that start coming down. I'm also going to save. And this hair needs to be a little bit shorter in a lot of these places, honestly. But that's okay. We will shorten it. So let's we're using the place brush again. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to my comb, pull these guys out. Now I'm going to start wanting to go downward with these guys. And I'm going to pull these guys out. Let's see. I'm going to start going down with here too. Look at my profile too. I'll go ahead and hit my place brush again, and we've got our interpolate. See that bald spot right there? Just want to get some guides up in that bald spot so that we can get this hair out. These guys. Okay. We're looking pretty good. Let's create another set of guides down here, and we're going to start making the hair longer. All right, so now I've got my brush right here that's going to lengthen. Okay, it does not have symmetry on, so I'll go to my tool settings, go to symmetry, object X, and right now the operation is set to scale. Okay, so I'm going to left click it, and it's going to grow that hair. Okay, now the strength is at 100. I'm probably going to reduce that a little bit, and I can start growing this hair. Create a mighty mullet. All right, so I'm going to start growing some of this hair too. And let's go ahead and let's comb it a little before we add more guides. Since we've got our interpolate on, we can use the interpolate to our advantage. All right, we're going to start wanting to get it a little bit longer up here too. Now you can also see there's the CVs on these guides are pretty low. They're 5 as well. So you can kind of see that chunkiness. We're going to need to rebuild our CVs on our guides to get, you know, better looking longer hair. Ooh, I like that one. All right, we're gonna go a little bit longer on the top too. Glorious, glorious mullet. All right, so we're looking right about. Yeah, let's make this a little bit longer. Huh? Why is my hair not changing now? That's odd. It's like it got detached. You know, XGen can be a little buggy, so it's definitely good to save and also save multiple versions. You know, every 30-ish minutes, you know, save, you know, every 5 to 10 minutes, and then every 30, you know, save a new, or, you know, if you feel like you've gotten to a good milestone, save a new version, just so you don't have to worry about losing any work. Go ahead and I'm going to save as and then reopen this just to see if I don't want to save over my old one, because if I do, I'll lose any work. I'm going to save as, I mean, if it's broken, and then I'll open it. Okay, look, it got longer. Very interesting. And turn my edit back on my in-guide base. So it's like the preview wasn't working, but it was actually doing what it needed it to do. And eventually I'm going to need to turn this symmetry off too. So you always want to look at your mesh from different angles too. Okay, so let's go ahead and make it a little longer. I feel like I need a guide right. Let's see. Maybe I'll pull that one to the side. I'm looking at the front and I need a little more volume here. Now also you can see I'm grabbing this and it's moving stuff below it. I don't really want that. I'm getting to a point where I'm going to start needing to isolate certain splines. And I need to put some in the middle. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to go to In-Guide Base, Place Brush. I'm going to turn my symmetry off. And I'm going to place one. I still have interpolate on though. I do want that. Place one in the middle there. One in the middle there. And one in the middle there. And now I'll turn my symmetry back on, and I'm going to place one right on the side. No, that's not where I want it. I want it right here. So I've got a little more option for volume right there. Okay. I'm going to save a new version just in case. Just in case I don't want to. Alright, so. Alright, so if I want to isolate anything, I can go to my freeze brush, and that'll allow me to, right now, if I paint over anything, you can see it goes gray and it's frozen. Okay, so I can paint over every. I can paint over everything. I can hold Control and I will reverse that. So let's say I want to isolate this guy for some volume. I can hold my B brush. It's still on symmetry. Let's turn symmetry off now for pretty much everything. So I can start giving myself some volume here. All right, I'm going to go back to my brush. Let's paint that guy. You know what? Just a second. Let's lengthen this guy too. Just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to want to rebuild my CVs on my in-guide base. So let's go to do that. Go to my in-guide base. In my attribute editor, I'm going to go to my CV count and just give it 10 for now. And we'll say rebuild. That's going to give me a lot more CVs. Now you can see when I'm grabbing this, it's much smoother. So I need to do the same with my mullet base. Say CV count, set that to 10 too. And rebuild. Alright, so you can see the hair looks a lot smoother. Alright, so I can freeze that. And again, I hold Control to unfreeze. I can just start painting stuff. Looks like I want to grab this guy. So I'm just rotating around, looking at my profile, looking at my hair. Seeing what I want to do. I still feel like this is kind of more like a faux hawk. I maybe need a CV right here. Yeah, so let's add that. Hit my place brush. Let me turn my symmetry back on. We're going right there. Oh, sorry. I had my place brush on for my mullet base, so I'm just adding a single hair. Let's go to in guide base. Hit the place brush there. Let's go back to mullet base. Interesting. Here, I'm gonna unfreeze. I'm gonna go to my freeze tool, go to tool settings, and I can go into on my, oh, that's the comb brush. So now it's, there we go. So I'll say unfreeze all. And now let's go back to in guide base and say place brush. Okay, it's staying on our groom now. Sorry, our guides. So I'll go tool setting, object X. I'm thinking right around there. Awesome. Yeah. And now I can go back to my freeze brush. I'll say invert frozen. And since everything was unfrozen, it freezes everything. And I can hold control to just unfreeze that guy. Now I can give myself a, let's go up and forward with this guy. Yes. She's glorious. Let's do the same thing with the other guide. Now my symmetry is still on this brush, so I'm just going to turn that off. Then I don't have to worry about my side being unfrozen. Alright, so I still don't like this situation right here where I'm looking here and it's kind of got this angle. This is starting to look better. Let's unfreeze everything, unfreeze all, and let's just oh, freeze on again. Unfreeze all. Let's go to our comb brush. Just gonna grab everything and kind of bulk up my. There we go. There we go. And then we can drop these guys a little bit. And I might need to add a couple of guides in between these. We'll see. I'm going to save. So another thing is we're getting some this sideburn here, and it ends up I pulled that sideburn. That sideburn was totally inside the mesh. Okay, so this hair is a little bit too long. Reduce the. So I want there to be that little bit of short hair right here. It's a key to a mighty mullet. So I can go to my length brush right here, and if I hold control again, which will do the opposite action, I can shorten my hair. So we can get it rather short. Now I need to, I'm gonna undo those, and I'm gonna turn down my strength. So I'll just be shortening it by a little bit. Got a little more control here. Now you can see though, this hair is still kind of averaging between these two guides. So I need to add a few more guides here so that they can kind of control the length of the hair. And I want to add a few up here too so we can keep it short all the way around this area. Okay, so let's go ahead and we've got our in-guide base. Let's say place brush. We've still got our X on, we want that. And interpolate is also on. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we want this one to be shorter. So we'll freeze everything. I've got my freeze brush on. Let's say tool settings, invert. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's see. Let's grab that one too. Okay, we can go to our length tool, hold control to make it shorter. I'll hold B to reduce my brush size. And there we go. Let's unfreeze this guy too. Go to our length tool, make him shorter. And freeze this guy. Alright. Now this hair down here is still not obeying this guide 100%, so we're gonna have to place another. But let's get these guys shorter too. I want this one shorter, and that one, maybe even, and this one too. Yeah. So we're gonna go to our length tool and just hold control to scale that down. Alright, so that's going to allow us to have that nice short look on the side. And I'm going to say unfreeze all, and let's just grab this guy. Alright, let's go ahead and save. And I'm going to increase my amount of hair strands just to see a little more clearly what we're looking at. So I'll go to mullet base, go to my attribute editor, and my density multiplier, let's just kick it up to 20 just to see what we're looking at here. So now we can see a little more clearly how that's responding. Okay. That's looking pretty awesome, honestly. Now, there's some chunky bits here that I can fix. Once I start adding my noise and my clumping, that's going to help a lot too. Now I'm thinking I want to make this guy shorter too. So let's go ahead and do that. Awesome. Okay. And let's I'm going to turn off my symmetry. Now I'm going to start kind of aiming it towards one side here. I'm going to do like almost like a mullet that's combed to one side. I probably should have froze those bottom short guys. Yeah, I definitely should have. Okay, let's calm these guys down. Okay. It's always good to look at this. Just, it's a three-dimensional object, so try and rotate around it and look at it from multiple angles. And all right, I'm gonna freeze this guy, and so now let's see. Oh, there we go. I've only got this guy frozen. Everything else is unfrozen. I can just hit invert now, and I'm isolating that guy. All right, this is looking pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and unfreeze all and comb down here a little bit. Now I need to add some more guides in here to get more control over these hairs down here that are just slamming right into the mesh. So I will do that eventually. All right, I'm going to save a new version. Okay, I'm good with this for now. I mean, this isn't an XGen tutorial per se, so we don't need to push this too far. I am going to add a clump modifier, and I don't want the sides to be clumped. I also want, so in my clump modifier, I'll click on that. I want my density to, let's try it. I want bigger clumps first, 0.5. That's looking nice. All right, I also want to clump effect. I set that to 0. There's no clumping, but let's see if I set it to mask. It's totally clean, so that's the one I want. All right, so I'm going to click on my mask right here. I'm going to say choose my file path, and we're going to set this 1024 is fine. My IFF and white. I'll say create. Let's go into 5. Oh yeah, so I need to add a new material to this. It freaks out about the material coming in from the MetaHuman, so I'm just gonna Assign new material, and we're just going to add just a blend. Okay, now I can paint on this. I'm going to say break. Let's try it. Let's try. Here, let's just break this connection. Do it again. All right, there we go. So now everything's white, and we can paint black, which will make it not clump. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Tool Settings. I've got my color black. I can turn my symmetry on here too. It's going to be in stroke, and we can say reflection on the X, and it'll do the same thing. So now if I paint this black, it will not be clumped. All right, so we just want to get all of this area right here. And if we want to reclump it, we can paint back to white. Okay, I can hold Shift to smooth, so I can kind of transition. So there's a little bit of clump, a little bit of free area. That's looking pretty awesome. Okay. So now I can hit Q to just switch back to my selection mode. And I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so I'm going to create another clump modifier. I'll click on Mullet 1, create, oops, sorry, add modifier, clump. This is going to be my smaller clumps. So I'll go to clump 1. And right away I can go to my mask and just go to this little checkerboard here and grab that same clump file that I just saved out. So that was, that's going to be mullet clump, yes. All right, I'll say open that. Now it's not saving it correctly. I'm going to go Control Shift S. I'm going to save a new version, and hopefully this will update the clumpage. Let's go. Let's hit reload. There we go. I hit reload and it worked. I don't know why. Now I can go to my clump 1, which will be my second clump. And I'm going to go to a little higher density here. Let's try 5. So we're breaking up those bigger clumps. Starting to look more like that natural hair. Once we add our noise, you know, I can add a curl to this too if I'd like. So we've got our curl down here. So I can start popping a little bit of a curl into that. I like that. I can add a little bit of a curl to my first clump too if I'd like. Making it a little wavy. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, and then I could add one final clump that really breaks things up. Do I want to? Nah, that's fine for now. I will add a noise though, so I'll click mullet. Let's add modifier. Gonna add a noise. And that's just gonna help make it look a little more natural. Okay, so we are ready to export this out. I'm gonna save as. We're gonna go new version. Well, you know, that was a new version. So let's just Control S. Alright, so I've got it saved. I want to duplicate my head mesh actually, so I'm gonna Control D to duplicate that. I'm gonna open up this thing that says rig. I'm gonna grab this head group, geometry, head group 0, and I've got head LOD 0 mesh 1. I'm gonna middle mouse drag that out, just so it's out here in my outliner. All right, so then I'm going to grab my mullet 1 description, okay, and I'm gonna select I'm just hitting Control to select my duplicated head mesh, and I'm gonna go to descriptions and say transfer. All right, that's gonna transfer it's gonna transfer this description to the head, and it's gonna get rid of all of the modifiers, and it's basically like deleting the history. All right, so then we get this XGen spline description 1, right? So I can hide this guy, and now I just got this guy. And you know what? Let's hide these guides too. All right, so there's my exceptionally awesome mullet. And so now that I've duplicated my head mesh, I've selected my original description. I've gone to descriptions and said transfer after I selected my description and the duplicated head mesh, okay? Now I can grab this newly duplicated description. If I expand it, you see it's only got this information, this XGen spline base 1, instead of having all of this stuff in the description. So it just streamlines it so when we send it over, it doesn't have too much information. Yeah, so you know, I could have added more CVs into this hair and rebuilt it to make it a little smoother, but you know, I'm pretty happy with this actually. So let's go ahead and with my newly transferred description, I'm going to say descriptions, I'm going to say cache, and I'm going to say export cache. All right. And we're going to just name it mullet. And it's an Alembic. We're exporting an Alembic cache. We're going to say export. And now we are ready to send this mullet over to Unreal Engine. So I'll be right back. We'll continue. All right, so we've opened up our Unreal Engine that we had imported our MetaHuman into. So now we want to bring in that Alembic file of our mullet, okay? So I'm going to open up my content. I'm going to go all the way to the top to the content folder, and I'm just going to make a new folder. I'm going to name this. I'll open up the folder, and now we need to import. All right, and I'm going to see mullet.abc. That's my Alembic file. I'll grab that. I'll say open. Okay, so it's going to say valid, valid. Now it's giving me some options on conversion. We're actually going to need to change these in a little bit, but let's go ahead and import. And there we go. There's my mullet. It's got a star next to it, which means I need to save it. Okay. So I can apply this mullet in a couple of different ways. All right. I can apply this mullet in a level on my MetaHuman. Right. So if I drop my MetaHuman into this level, I can actually apply it to my MetaHuman level specific. All right. So let's say I want my MetaHuman to have different hairstyle and different shots. I can give them different hair in different shots. Or if I want to change it at the blueprint level, each time I drop it into a level, that blueprint is going to show the exact same hair. Okay, so let's say I want to alter a character's mustache, or I want to alter their hair length, or any number of things. I can do that in the in the level. I can add that groom there. Okay. We're going to start with the blueprint, and then I'll show you the way to do it inside the level as well. Actually, no, let's start with doing it in the level. All right, so I'm going to go to my MetaHumans. I'm going to grab Chandra, and I'm just going to left click and drag this MetaHuman blueprint right into my level. It's going to take a little bit to calculate because it's a big chunky file. All right, there he is. I'm just going to zero out the location. And now I'll just hit F to go right to him, and there we go. There he is in all his glory. So if I look here, I've got the blueprint selected. I can go down and I can see my hair. All right, so I can change his hair in this level right now. Now I can also add another set of hair. So, you know, if I wanted to say I didn't have a beard on this character, I could actually hit add and add another groom component. Okay, let's click on him again. So if I go to the hair here, I can go down and I will see this is my material, and here is my groom asset. All right, so I can actually click on this and replace it with my mullet. Now it's going to disappear. All right, it's down on the ground. There's a couple of issues. Our position is off. We're going to have to re-import it, but let's create a binding asset first, and that's going to help a few things. So I'm going to go to my mullet, and I'm going to right click on it. So I just in here, right here in the groom asset, I just clicked on the folder to open up my mullet location. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say create binding, and I'm going to say the type is skeletal mesh, and then I'll choose Chandra's face mesh. Okay, and now I can say create. Okay, now I didn't add the binding though. Okay, I just created it here. So now I need to click back down on the hair, and I'm going to say binding asset, mullet, Chandra face binding. There we go. Okay, so we can see it has been bound to our face, but it is flipped. It's going the wrong way. I can tell that that's the front, and it was being combed kind of to the right. All right, but I mean, there's a positive in all of this, and that is that the hair is looking great and it's in our scene. Shader looks awesome on it. So we need to re-import this hair facing forward. All right, so I'm gonna click my guy again, click on my hair, go to my hair location, and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say re-import. Now I can change the scale we want or the rotation. Okay, I actually want it. This is X, Y, and Z, I believe. I'm gonna try it negative in the Y. And there we go. That's what I was thinking of. So now it's looking exactly like it did in Maya. It's coming right out of the right spot. We can see that our sideburns are going where we had them. Okay, so in this level, my character has his glorious mullet. Okay, now if I go to another level and I drop that Chandra blueprint into that level, it's not going to have this mullet. Okay, so let's change the blueprint so that it has this hair exactly how we want it. Okay, so I'm going to go to, well, let's save all. Okay, so let's go to our content. Let's go to Chandra folder, open up that blueprint. Okay, and we'll go to our viewport. So now we have the same thing. Attached to our face are all of our grooms, okay? If we wanted to add another groom, we would hit add here, and then we would just go, I don't want to scroll all the way down. I'm just going to hit G, R, and we can see groom right there. So I can add another groom, and that's going to start down here, and I can name it. All right, let's name it mullet. There we go. Now it doesn't have any of these. It doesn't have the material here. It doesn't have a groom asset, anything. All right. Now you might think that my MetaHuman is bald. He is not. That's just LOD. Is lower LOD. So this hair does not have hair cards. So when we zoom out, our LOD is popping to what should be hair cards, but it has no cards, so he's going bald. I'll make a short video on fixing that. Okay, so I've got my mullet. I can say hair. And, since this already has all the materials applied, I'm just going to replace it here. And I'll actually delete this. But if you ever want to add an additional groom asset to your blueprint or to your character in the level, you need to make sure it's under the face. I mean, unless we're adding body hair, then you would actually grab let's see, you grab the body and add the hair to the body, okay? So, grabbing our face, we're going to go ahead and delete this. And I'll grab my hair. We'll go to our groom asset. We're going to say mullet. Okay, it disappeared. We just need to grab our binding asset. It's going to be mullet Chandra face. There we go. It is there. All right, so he's got his mullet. Looks great. Now, one more thing though. I want to go to this hair card and I want to double click on my groom asset to open it up. And I do not have physics on right now, so there's going to be no gravity, no wind, nothing, no physics are going to affect this hair at all. Okay. So you can see my LOD here. We've only got one, so its geometry type is set to strands. You'll see in the when I show you the fixing the MetaHuman that you can set the cards to strands and it'll fix it. Okay. So if I go all the way to the right, you're going to see, and it'll highlight, it says physics. Looks like a little ball with an explosion. I want to just say enable simulation. All right, and that is going to, and it's using Groom springs. Awesome. So now my hair has physics. Now, if I want it to hold a better shape, like say my eyelashes, I enable simulation and they're kind of drooping, I can go down to gravity and let's just say negative 100 instead. And you can see my hair was, that hairstyle that I had lost quite a lot of the design I had originally given it. All of that volume, the gravity was too much. Okay, so I mean, this doesn't have to be, real world accurate. We could say hairspray is is fighting gravity. So I can even change this to 0 and you'll see it go all the way up. But let's change it to negative 100. And now it'll just have a little bit of bounce and sway to it. So I need to compile this blueprint. and save. And there we go. We have a glorious MetaHuman with a glorious mullet. All right, hope you enjoyed. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting a lot of MetaHuman related stuff. I'm going to be going over custom clothes for MetaHumans using Marvelous. I'm also going to be going over fixing the popping on the LODs for your MetaHumans. You know, he's going bald. We don't want that. And it's worse with the MetaHuman hair. Um, and I'm also going to get into stylizing and customizing MetaHumans. All right. Thanks for watching.